Today I'm at the Lingenfelter Collection in Brighton, Michigan, where I'm going to show you this very rare and very unique 2008 Lamborghini Reventon. I'm going to explain why it may be a bit underappreciated in the exotic car market and why it may be one of the most important vehicles that Lamborghini has produced in the last 30 years. So stick around. The Reventon was first introduced to the public at the Frankfurt Motor Show in 2007. The name Reventon translates into small explosion when used as a noun or a burst in Spanish. The car was inspired by fighter jets. Word is the internal team at Lamborghini visited a local NATO base to get inspiration for the design of the vehicle. The color scheme, the angular lines of the vehicle, all reminds you of an F22A Raptor stealth fighter. Some people have described the looks as to be more like a Batmobile, for example. Lamborghini intended this to be a very limited edition production, so only 20 cars were produced. Well, that's not quite correct. There are actually 21. The cars numbered 1 through 20 were sold to specific collectors that were chosen by Lamborghini, and the 21st car is number 0, and that one is in the Lamborghini Museum in Italy. Of the 20 cars that Lamborghini sold, 11 of them came to the United States, 7 of them stayed in Europe, 1 went to Dubai, and 1 ended up in Japan. The underlying architecture of the car comes from the Lamborghini Murcielago LP640. It's a steel tubular frame with honeycomb carbon fiber elements glued and riveted to it. The roof and door panels are steel, the rest of the body is carbon fiber. This would be the last model built this way by Lamborghini. Starting with the Aventador in 2011, they would move to a more carbon fiber monocoque rolling chassis design. Obviously, you couldn't walk into your Lamborghini dealer in 2007 and place an order for one. The cars cost 1 million euros back in 2007, which at the time translates to maybe 1,370,000 or 80,000 US dollars. And there were no options of any kind. The color scheme was the same. There was only one transmission that was offered, one set of wheels. Every single car was built exactly the same. The Reventon is powered by the Murcielago's 6.5-liter V12 engine. It makes 650 horsepower at 8,000 RPMs and 487 pound-feet of torque at 6,000 RPMs. The car has all-wheel drive, and at 3,670 pounds, this engine can propel the car to 0 to 60 in approximately 3.3 seconds and has a top speed of 211 miles per hour. And should you be curious, the United States EPA gave a fuel economy rating of the car at 9 miles per gallon city, 14 miles per gallon highway, and 11 combined. All of the Lamborghini Reventons came in the same color combination. This color is referred to as Grigio Reventon and really comes across as a very matte type of color. The Reventon comes with 18-inch wheels, both front and back. The fronts are 8.5 inches wide, the rears are 13 inches wide. They come with Pirelli P0 Corsa tires. The fronts are 245/35 ZR18s. The rears are 335/30 ZR18s. And it's an aluminum wheel, and you can see it says Alcoa right here. And it has these carbon fiber fins that are bolted to it, and it creates this 5-spoke turbine kind of effect that helps to draw air towards the brakes. The brakes are carbon ceramic, and they have 6 piston calipers here up front. Up front, we have these triangular-shaped headlights, and so it has a carbon fiber floor to it. It has these LED running lights here, and then, of course, you have a bi-xenon headlight that is here. As I come around back, first we'll start with this is actually a spoiler that deploys above 80 miles per hour to help with downforce. And when we look here at the taillights, these are LEDs, and they had to be specially designed to withstand the amount of heat that the engine is generating and the exhaust headed out through the back of the vehicle. Of course, you have a large center exit for the exhaust, and you have a large diffuser that helps with your airflow coming out from underneath. And of course, like Lamborghinis before it, the Murcielago, the Diablo, and of course the Countach, it has the traditional scissor doors that come up. If you have a sharp eye, you may have noticed that the car is not symmetrical. The vent just in front of the rear wheels are not the same on the driver's and passenger sides. Here's the driver's side. This opening is larger than the passenger side and provides air to a radiator. And here is the passenger side. This opening funnels the air underneath the car. Okay, I'm going to come around and we're going to see what it's like to climb in the vehicle. Obviously, you've got a big width here that you've got to come across. You can see the carbon fiber here on the door sill. So I think what I'm going to try is I'm going to try and sit down first in the seat, without banging my head, and then swing my feet in. And my first reaction would be to tell you that this is really cramped. So I can feel the side of these seats. They're very tight. Now I am 5'10", and so I clear as far as I may have 2 inches here, but I think once you get above 6 feet tall, you might have a problem kind of squinching your head in order to try and get in the vehicle. So let's see how heavy that door is to close. It's actually not too bad. And there we are. I am in. So this is a kind of a dark greenish Alcantara and leather seating. You have a black leather, of course, dash. This cockpit, and really it continues that aeronautic theme that this was milled out of a single block of aluminum, and then they put a carbon fiber kind of cover protectant over the top of it, and that then lets you look down through the steering wheel into where your gauges are, which are digital, and actually the readouts change, and I'm going to try and show you some of that in the video. The steering wheel also has kind of an Alcantara around the outsides. The horn, which is rather interesting, is actually here you would hit with your 2 thumbs because your airbag is here in the center, and it has carbon fiber here along the bottom. You got carbon fiber down the center. As you can see here, we've got your climate control vents. And then if you push on this panel, it opens up, and there's your climate control are sitting behind that panel. You got a Kenwood stereo system. Here's your controls for your mirrors on each side. Your front lift system is there. TCS, I'm assuming, is traction control. That is actually for those vents on the sides, which actually can open and close. And then, of course, you got your drive modes. There's sport. There's, I think that's probably for wet or traction control. You got your your windows going up and down. You got your fuel filler release, your emergency lights. That's all what you've got down here is the center console. There is a center glove box here, although as you can see, there's not a whole lot of room in there other than to put some paperwork in it. You're not going to have room for much. Oh, interestingly enough, a 30-pin connector for an old iPhone is what comes through this little opening right here. So they must have decided that that their customers were going to want to use their iPhone in their Reventon. Okay, now I'm going to climb in here on the passenger side. Same deal, got to kind of swing your butt down in, swing your legs in. Now I'm on the passenger side. Same thing, very tight seat. So there is no glove box here, as you can see. This is just that Alcantara, and then your leather dash, where it says SRS airbag. Obviously, you've got a passenger side airbag. I've got a handle to hold on to, so this carbon fiber bit here has got a big handle. I could put my hand there. It's interesting, it's got this little groove right here, almost like I could set something in that groove. And then there's a bit of an opening here between the door sill and where the seat is. Again, it feels like you're kind of angled towards the center of the car. Only adjustment, again, is to slide and rake it back and forth. So, and you know, that opening, I guess, is to match the seat on the other side where normally you would have the parking brake on the driver's side. Here you just have this big opening. And then, of course, in order to put the seatbelt on, now I got to take my right hand, kind of reach over here and pull it across and lock it into place. and that's where your seat belt is for the passenger. Oh, I forgot to talk about when you're on the driver's side, your visibility, as you might imagine, is pretty good out your front and out the sides, but anything behind you, behind your shoulder blades, you might as well forget about it. I mean, yes, there is a rear view mirror, but it's such a narrow opening to try and look through it. You're really going to have to use your side mirrors in order to drive this thing. All right, now I'm going to start it up. So here's my key. Pretty simple key, just lock, unlock, and then there's your key. You got your Lamborghini logo on the back, and then you just come around here in a traditional key slot, stick it in, turn it over, and you can see the dash lights up. And then we're going to put our foot on the brake and fire it up. And there you go. There's your display with all your digital G meter, and on the left is your tachometer. So if I give it a little rev, you see it goes up and down, and your speedometer's on the right. And so that's what it looks like. Now, as you can see, I've put the plastic back over the seat, but there was one other thing in here. I wanted to show you the frunk, and in order to do that, you have to be able to open it up, and I want to show you where that release mechanism is. It's right here underneath. You just pull that lever right there, and that will open the frunk. Okay, now that we're over here at the frunk, now that it's unlocked, I can pull it up. There is a latch here that you can flip. It does have lifts on it that will hold it up. Looks like we have two car covers. My guess is one is an indoor and one's an outdoor, but we'll set that aside. This is going to be license plate frame and a few other items. We've got a fake Lamborghini front license plate. This actually is a air compressor. So if you needed to inflate one of your tires, that's included. And then when you lift up this shelf, you'll notice under here we have other items. And I'm going to show you this box. It says Reventon 12 of 20. And I'm going to set this stuff on the table so you can see what it is. And then you have a flight bag, keeping with the aeronautics theme of the Reventon. So, and you notice it says 12 because this is car 12 of 20. And I'll open that up and show you what's in that when I move it over to the table. And then finally, you have the flight recorder do not open box. It says Reventon on it. When you open that up, you got an owner's manual in there, and I'll show you a little bit of that as well. So that is what is in the frunk that comes with a Lamborghini Reventon. Okay, let's go through a little more detail what was in these boxes. So I'm going to open the flight recorder box first. And here we have an owner's manual. Set the box aside. If I open that up, the interesting part about this is when I pull the owner's manual out, you'll notice it says Murcielago LP640, model year 2008. And so that is your standard Murcielago owner's manual. And then I come over here, I'll open this one. This also says Murcielago LP640, warranty booklet and maintenance schedule for model year 2008. And then in here we've got another item. It says Automobili Lamborghini, and this is the roadside assistance kit. So you've got a card with a phone number to call for roadside assistance. And you've got a manual that explains what's included in that. And that is all in this little envelope. And so I'm going to slide this stuff back in and set it aside, and we'll look at the other items. So So I've set that aside. Let's look at the box, because this is really, really neat. Okay, so the box says Reventon 12 of 20, but when you open it, there's a really heavy box on the inside, so I gotta flip this over to get it out. It's got felt on the bottom, and then it's got one screw that holds the cover, and the cover slides open, and inside you have this knife that says Reventon 12 of 20. Look at that. And then you have this key, and this is not an actual key that operates the vehicle because it's not cut, of course. You flip it over, you notice it does say Reventon 12 of 20 is there on the key. And then of course it says here, and this is a metal box if you can hear it, Reventon 12 of 20 is all right there. So let me slide that back together. That all came with the car. Put that back in the box. Set it aside, and then we'll look at the flight bag. So, and I will open this up to show you what's inside. We have another manual in here that says Reventon. Pull the Velcro and open it up. So, and this is also, it looks like, a special owner's manual for the vehicle. So, electrical system, so introduction, so characteristics. Looks like some of it is not in English, it's in other languages. And so this is also included. And so those are the items that come along with your Reventon when you get it. I want to take a moment and thank Ken Lingenfelter for letting me come out and film the Reventon. I'll put a link in the description below if you're interested in learning more about his car collection. I filmed it just before Ken sent the car to the R.M. Sotheby's auction in Monterey, California. As you can see here, on Friday, August the 19th, 2022, it did sell for $1,952,000. At the time of the sale, the vehicle had only 868 miles on it. Now you might think that price tag is a little low considering how rare the car is. I think there's a number of reasons for this. First is that the Reventon is primarily a Murcielago LP640 with a different body and interior. I also think the price for this car would have been higher had Lamborghini chosen to make them in a manual transmission, but they are all E-gear cars, which are not as popular with collectors. Despite this, I still feel this is perhaps the most important car Lamborghini has made in the last 30 years. Actually, the most important since the legendary Countach. Here's why I say that. The Countach was followed by the Diablo and then the Murcielago. Both cars used a far more rounded, softer lines than the edgier Countach did with its sharp angles. The Reventon was the first new car from Lamborghini to revert back to that old styling cues of the Countach. And as you look at the Aventador that followed a few years later, you can clearly see they're from the same family. What do you think of the Reventon? Do you agree with my assessment of how important this car was to Lamborghini? Drop me a comment below and let me know what you think. My name is Tom Stroup, and you've been watching Find the Right Road. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button and consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks, and we'll catch you next time.